Hey everyone, I just wanted to quickly talk about a couple of things for your research question and your thesis statement. Had a few really good questions about the research question slash it will eventually perhaps be a thesis statement, and whether or not it should be or has to be argumentative, kind of a little confusion, understandably, around the expectations. So I wanted to let you know that you do have options here. So your paper can be argumentative, or it doesn't necessarily have to make an argument, right? Some topics call more for arguing and having a little more emotion, a little more passion, and others are a little more neutral, right? So if you're writing about cancer research funding, no sane audience, for the most part, is going to be like, no, we need less money in cancer, right? So it's not really an argument paper, but you would perhaps go on to explain when and where and why and what the money will be used for, right? So I want to make sure that you have taken a look at a couple different documents. Research question help, and thesis statement types and definitions. So under the thesis statements, you can think of it as analytical or even expository. These often kind of overlap, or argumentative. And there are samples down here, right, of what it sounds like when it's argumentative versus when it's expository. So when it's expository, it means it's just explaining something of interest to the audience, right? So this needs further in-depth explanation. It can't just be something obvious and boring that we all perhaps already know about. So it needs to be certainly something worth explaining for 5 pages or so. Right. So if you are thinking about your research question and making it better based on my feedback, or you're still working on it, research question help, this document can really help you out. So it's not necessarily key for you to figure out if it's exactly falls into one of these categories, because often they overlap, but it is more important for you to really think about, is it practical, is it philosophical, is it neutral, is it argumentative, right? Is it more conventional, or are you trying to write something really provocative? These things can help you think about your audience. Right? So, practical questions, things like what are some best practices, or things that you or someone in your field could really start to put into use right away. Something more neutral is just going to come from a place of genuine curiosity, right? So it doesn't have an implied predetermined answer. So looking at something like, do Head Start programs truly help bridge the educational gap between poor and minority children and more privileged children? And so genuinely digging into that, writing something kind of expository, where you're not necessarily arguing one way or the other, but really truly just kind of exploring the question, right? Versus argumentative, where you might phrase it as, in what ways are these programs necessary to bridge these gaps? So you basically already know that they are a good thing, and you want to argue and prove that they are for X, Y, and Z reasons. Okay? So you can kind of think of that through ineffective and effective questions. So hopefully you've taken a look at these. And you really want to look at just something really basic, like, 3rd grade journalism, who, what, when, where, why, how, so what questions. Okay? So if we look at, what is the effect on the environment from global warming, that's ineffective because it's so broad. So we need to think about these kind of questions, right? Who is it impacting, or where, right? So just answering even just 2 of those questions, we have a where, which makes it more effective in Antarctica, and a who or what is it affecting, we have penguins. And then what exactly do you mean by environment here, right? That's so broad. So glacial melting is a lot more specific, right? So thinking about these questions down here can help you get a better question and ultimately a better paper, right? There's one more document that I just added today. It's about how to create a thesis from your research question. So I basically just take you through my thought process here, and this can help you not only to create a thesis, but also to start organizing your paper. So if this is my question about graphic novels, what makes them more effective than traditional textbooks, how can that help students learn, I have a lot of questions that my readers, whoever's reading my paper, would need to have answered. So I can anticipate their questions. I'm thinking about my audience of probably teachers, secondary teachers, and then also my own research process. Okay, what do I still need to know about this in order to write about it? So I can ask a bunch of questions. Okay, so if I'm saying that these kinds of books are more effective, why are many students maybe unmotivated to read? Might be kind of a sub-question. How or in what ways are they more effective? Right? How are they more effective for teachers? How are they more effective for students? Are they more effective? Right? What kinds of students? Are traditional books actually ineffective? Because I'm implying up here that they are. Is that really what I think? Right? So just kind of breaking down your own question into more questions can help you anticipate what do you need to cover in your paper, and what questions will your reader perhaps have, because they might be similar to your own questions. Okay? And so then from there you can start to think about, what am I going to do with this information? Do I want to persuade someone, or do I simply want to just kind of inform and dig in and explore? And so I give sample argumentative, one using a concession, and then also some neutral. So if you're staying more informative, you might want to steal one of these sentence frames and actually just go ahead and use your research question or part of your research question. So at the end of my intro, I might just say something like, the question then becomes, are graphic novels a worthwhile investment for high school teachers and students? So sort of setting up, what is the thing I'm going to explore in this paper, right? So this brings up an important dilemma, right? The problem we're left with is, and then I could ask part of my research question and then go on to explore it. Right, so I hope that helps clarify kind of what I'm looking for, and partially what I'm looking for is for you to make some of these big decisions on your own about audience, purpose, what is it that you want to do with this information for your audience. Right, keep hitting me up with questions and let me know what you guys need as you keep writing.